Welcome into a Clippers Talk Live. I'm Adam Osland, wearing two hats, so nobody can see my political affiliation, I guess, and start to make some guesses. As I know, it is a big night, but it's also Paul George return eve, as he'll be back in Southern California at Intuit Dome for the first time, playing against the Clippers for the first time since he left and went to the Philadelphia 76ers. This is a Clippers Talk Live special. Appreciate everyone here. If you missed it earlier, we had a Clips and Dip podcast. Make sure to check that out. But here, I want to hear from everyone about, from here, H-E-R-E, H-E-R-A, H-E-A-R now. Yeah, here, I want to hear from everybody about Paul George and their thoughts on his return. Tomorrow night at Intuit Dome, kind of a big game. I'll give you a preview as well in this episode. We'll run down some of the numbers with the Philadelphia 76ers, as we have been doing for each and every ball club on Clippers Talk that the Clippers face. Mixed feelings at best with PG-13. Deca Fantastic says counter-programming to the election about to be called. I don't know. I'm just excited to talk about the Clippers and Paul George. That's what I'm here for. And yeah, two hats, a red and a blue for tonight. Both Clippers with the alternate compass C. Joe Rosenfeld said, PG said on Podcast P that he does not expect a tribute video. He said it in his typical victim way. He's getting a tribute video, I would assume, right? Right? That's happening. Punk's Gone Wrong said PG is too soft. I'm going to be enjoying seeing our defense on him. If we could get better punctuation in some of these comments, that would be helpful for me. I don't guess what you're trying to say, but I think I know what you're trying to say here. That's for sure. Yeah, a lot of good defenders. Clamp City vibe with this team right now. They're all going to get their shot at Paul George. Guys that didn't play with him, like Chris Dunn. Guys who did, Nico Batum, Terrence Mann. Guys who didn't play with him but did lock him up in a first-round series last season that I'm sure will be starting on him. I'm talking about Derrick Jones Jr. Held PG-13 to what, just under 40% shooting in that series, or just over 40% shooting. He was bad outside of two games. I'm looking forward to see how the crowd reacts to Paul George being back in the building. We talked about it a little bit earlier on Clips and Dip. JaVale18 said, we cheered his name through thick and thin. He turned his back on us. Mark Spears on ESPN said we would do a tribute video. I mean, it's the classy thing to do. There's no way they're not going to do a tribute video, I would assume. Even though he called them the B team and said they stabbed him in the back, or his dad did, and he agreed with it. Adam Richards said, see, this is the counter argument. He said, I can make an argument for PG as the best Clipper ever. We should cherish and applaud him, guys. I would love to hear that argument that you say you can make, because I disagree with that. I think he's a top 5 Clipper ever. I think he was a good Clipper. Very good. Great at times. Overall, his tenure wasn't great. They didn't get to the promised land, and his book ended by 2 very bad playoff performances, playoff runs. First in the bubble, then this past season against Dallas. In between there, in 2021, yes, he was good. They also still needed 45 from Kawhi in a must-win game, where I think he went 17 of 22 from the field in Game 6 in Dallas with the crowd back to extend the series. So if the argument is he got them to the Western Conference Finals, yeah, it's not a great argument, because they don't even get to the second round. if it's not for Kawhi Leonard's brilliance. Joel Embiid will not be playing tomorrow night. He's suspended for 3 games for shoving the reporter that really had a heinous article and took unnecessary shots at his deceased brother. I think we can all understand Joel Embiid being upset about that. Katsua Baller said, nah, PG and his yes men all switched up on us. They couldn't stop talking smack about the Clippers. Talking about Dallas Rutherford. Really didn't like the way he handled things either. And I let him know that on X. I don't know if he saw it or not. Adam Richards said, let's take Kawhi out of the equation because injuries, he's not the best. PG was most talented, most fun to watch on his own. West Coast Finals as well. CP3 needed DJ and Blake Griffin, and vice versa. So not a very good argument. You're saying they didn't make it to the Western Conference Finals, but Paul George did. You can't take Kawhi out of the equation with the Clippers making the Western Conference Finals in 2021. Again, he had 45 in a Game 6 must-win situation on the road where I think he was 18 of 22 or 17 of 22 from the field and had one of the best playoff games in history. Paul George didn't do that. Kawhi did to extend the series. They don't get to the second round. They don't get to be 2-2 in the second round without Kawhi. So no, that one falls on deaf ears for me. I'm not going to say Paul George had nothing to do with it. Of course he did. The Game 5 against Utah to me is his best game as a Clipper. Because I'm not making the argument Kawhi Leonard is the best Clipper. I'm saying your logic of Paul George being the best Clipper because he got them to the Western Conference Finals is completely faulty and flimsy and built on a house of cards of an argument because Kawhi had to have 45 in a must-win game on the road. That wasn't Paul George. They don't get to the second round without Kawhi. And they probably don't get to the Western Conference Finals without Kawhi. I'm not even going to say probably. I don't think they would be able to win that series without Kawhi in the second round if he wasn't starting the first 4 games for them. We won't know that one, but let's not overestimate just how good Kawhi Leonard was in the first round. Adam Richards saying, all I'm saying is there's an argument because who was better? Kawhi was better. There's no argument that Paul George is better on the court than Kawhi. None. You can argue he was on the court more. Okay, he played 40 more games than Kawhi Leonard as a Clipper. I would argue that Kawhi Leonard, the difference in play between the two is greater than the difference of games missed between the two. Kawhi Leonard and how much better he was when on the court is a greater difference than the amount of games missed between both of them, where Paul George was injured often, unfortunately, too. So I'm glad we got that out of the way, Adam. Punk's gone wrong. He's the only ex-Clipper I unfollowed on social media. I will definitely be booing him. See, again, Paul George, to me, in that Game 5 in Utah was his best game as a Clipper because all the pressure was on him. Kawhi had to fly back after he got the MRI report back that he had a torn ACL. And everybody thought Paul George was going to fail because of what happened in the bubble. They thought without Kawhi, they have no shot in this series. And that Game 5 in Utah was, to me, Paul George's best game as a Clipper. Biggest high-stakes moment. Biggest prove you're a superstar moment. Don't have Kawhi. Can't hide behind his muscles, his play. And Paul George stepped up in the Lions' Den in Utah against the best team record-wise in the regular season. Utah had the best record in the league that year, guys. Not just in the West, in the league. Paul George in that game had 37 and 16 boards and 5 assists, a steal and 2 blocks. 16 boards. The rebounding job he did in that playoff run was special. So I'm not saying he didn't have anything to do with them getting to the Western Conference Finals, because he most certainly did. I'm saying the logic of, well, Kawhi wasn't there. He got him there. Well, Kawhi got him to the second round. If you don't get to the second round, you aren't getting to the Western Conference Finals. Katsuya Baller said PG was never accountable and blames everyone else but himself. He also gave up on the team the second half of last season. I understand that logic. I think it's a little bit of an oversimplification. There were times where he was very accountable. I remember the start of was this the 21-22 season without Kawhi? Yeah, he was playing poorly early on, and he called himself out after, I want to say it was a loss to the Pelicans. Let me look at this. Accuracy is what I'm very much fond of. Let me go back. Yeah, they had lost 4 of the first 5. Is this that season? Am I thinking of this right? Because I'm thinking of the game winner over Houston. Was that the 21-22 season? That kind of got them going after a slow start. Was that 22-23? Yes, it was. So, 22-23 season. Kawhi plays 2 of the first 3 games, but he only plays 21 minutes. And then they go to OKC, and he ends up with stiffness in his knee, doesn't play. So they started 2-3. They had lost in New Orleans on October 30th, and Paul George went 5 of 19 and called himself out. Said post-game he has to be much better. Next game, 35 points, 15 of 26 shooting, and the game winner, a tough fadeaway in the short corner on the near side. So I can bring up actual examples of where he did take accountability. I know the overarching narratives and how easy it is to slip into those things, but I'm going to try to be fair to Paul George too. I'm just going to throw out all the evidence we have and make of it what you will. Jason Davis says T-Man got us there. I'd also push back against this. All of Terrence Mann's shots just about were creative because they were doubling Paul George. He's hitting open threes, guys. If you're wondering why Terrence Mann hasn't made some giant leap since the 39-point game in Game 6 against Utah down 25, well, he was hitting a bunch of open shots. He got hot. He wasn't creating for himself. He wasn't ISOing a ton. The attention, the magnifying glass was all on Paul George. So no, I do think Paul George was more responsible. Terrence Mann, great game, but he's not able to do that if Paul George isn't on the court. He's not getting those looks. Love T-Man, but it fell on Paul George if they didn't get to the Western Conference Finals. He was the one who was going to take the blame, not Terrence Mann. And he also had a great Game 6. Mikey Lapp said, you're right about Kawhi's brilliance, but everyone said Clippers were dead in the water and PG stepped up and got us to the conference finals. But again, we all know Kawhi is the man. Again, you can't get to the conference finals if Kawhi doesn't get them out of the first round. What we should be saying is they both contributed. Paul George did step up in that series against Utah without him. I just said Game 5 is the best game of his career on the road in Utah. I'm giving him credit, but the whole he got us there is false. If you don't win in the first round in a must-win game on the road against Luka Doncic in Dallas, where Kawhi has 45, you don't get to the Western Conference Finals, my friend. SC said, PG's bully-esque comment made me hopeful, bought his shirt. Then when he left, I thought his play didn't back up his talk. I don't want to boo him, but I don't want to follow him on socials either. That's an interesting perspective. I totally get that. I'm obviously not going to boo him. I'm a broadcaster with the team. I don't know if that be looked upon as uncouth or unbecoming or unprofessional. I'll probably clap during his tribute video. Like, he was a good Clipper overall. He was nice. He was kind. He's not a bad person. He's not a bad guy. He left for $70 million more. I don't blame him for that. I just don't like burning the bridge on the way out, calling him the B team, taking unnecessary shots at the team. That's the stuff I don't like. Adam Richards said PG was always there when Kawhi wasn't, so I think he was a better Clipper. So was he there in the playoffs in 2023? No. Was he there in the final play-in game in 2022? No. He wasn't always there. Again, the difference in play is greater than the difference in games missed between those two. The difference in play on the court, with how much better Kawhi was and is greater than the difference in games missed, about 40 between the two as Clippers. Clue said, told you all PG is an inconsistent wind. So lovely and satisfying when it's there, then nowhere to be found when you need it, and 6 or 7 times out of 10. I wouldn't say 6 or 7 times out of 10. Paul George had some big moments. Game 5 again against Phoenix in the Western Conference Finals. Must-win situation. Some people think that was his best game ever. Dropped 40 in Phoenix. MKXLNT said, much respect to PG. I'll definitely clap when he's introduced. I'll clap more if Zeus stuffs him one with love from Clipper Nation. Yeah, there's different ways and approaches to go about it. And I'm not going to tell anyone how they should or shouldn't act. You're a fan. You buy a ticket. You want to cheer, or if you want to jeer and boo, either way I think are appropriate. You get to express yourself. Don't cross any lines, nothing like that. But some people will cheer during the tribute, and then when he touches the ball the first time, they'll boo him. Now he's the enemy. Now it's official. You know? Amir said, good player, good Clipper, good job for playing for our franchise. Don't like the shade he threw in our franchise. All facts, all fair. Amir Ahmad said he wanted Kawhi-type money, and the Clippers didn't want to pay him. He started throwing shade at the Clippers. Didn't like that. I didn't either. I didn't like how he presented it as, oh, they only offered me $60 million. But that 60 was on top of the 50 opt-in. So it was 110 as the starting point in their negotiations. And Lawrence Frank said this summer that before PG's agent and before Kawhi's agent and before James Harden's agent, although he wasn't contract eligible. So just 2-1-3, before their agents came to him, he said that they had already made new offers once the Clippers clicked in and went on that 26-5 run. They already had upped the offers, which is what Kawhi, it looks like he took it, 150. And Paul George said on his podcast, first, just give me what Kawhi got. So the disrespect was about not getting what Kawhi got at first, he claims. But then he said, so they offered me the 150. And I'm like, now we're in the ballpark. Wait a second. You just said, give me what Kawhi got. They offered you that, and you're still not taking it. Because you were bitter they didn't offer you that from the beginning, which we don't know if that's true or not. Mikey Lapp said PG Game 5 in Phoenix was also great. Yep. Katsua Baller said, can't wait for Derrick Jones Jr. and Dunn to lock up PG tomorrow. Not an easy team to play if you're a guy like Paul George in his second game back from injury with the defenders the Clippers have. Adam Richards said PG was also a better superstar. He's outspoken, made the Clippers fun. I mean, do you know how many people would disagree with him being outspoken as something to praise? They would say he talks too much. Kawhi does none of that, and there's nothing to him. PG was the culture. Players love him and admire him. We have none of that now. You sure about that? You sure they all love and admire him? I don't know. I heard Norman Powell at Media Day said he looked at it as addition by subtraction. So Adams just, oh, man, he's digging a hole worse than Paul George did. Legend said Harden, revenge game. I expect 30 from Harden. Trying to decipher that one. Adam Richards said, why are you upset about the B team comment? Like, obviously we are. I don't take offense to that. It's not about obviously. It's a shot at the Clippers for no reason. It's completely unnecessary. Everyone knows their place in LA here. Any NBA team that had to share a city with the Lakers outside of the Boston Celtics maybe would be the B team. The problem is he didn't have to say it. And he claimed that he was a Clippers fan growing up. So why was he acting surprised like he found out they were the B team all of a sudden when he became a Clipper? He said he was a Clippers fan growing up. So what was the shock there? Punk's Gone Wrong said, I wonder if any current Clipper players dislike PG because of his comments. Might find out tomorrow. I think there might be some smoke between him and James Harden. Paul George kept emphasizing playing basketball the right way when he was going on his tour, doing his podcast after the season ended. Said, my decision is going to come down to playing basketball the right way, not necessarily chasing a championship anymore. A lot of people thought he was inferring that James Harden doesn't play it the right way, and he didn't like playing off ball so much, even though he doesn't want to be on ball too. So how do you win with this guy sometimes with his role? King Charles said, I wanted to cheer for Paul George, but I did not enjoy the way he handled leaving LA and did not like what he had to say with his dad on the podcast. That being said, the boo birds for me. That's the thing, guys. I think he dug his own grave. He made it worse for himself with the comments he made. Otherwise, I think it would have been majority cheers. Now I think majority boos because of the way he left, not because he took $70 million more dollars, got $200 million from Philly. That's completely understandable. It's the unnecessary shots, saying they felt stabbed in the back. How? All the Clippers did was acquiesce and try to appease him. They gave him a contract extension. They maxed him out after what happened in the bubble. Right after how bad he was in the bubble, they paid him. How'd they do him dirty? They gave him every point guard he wanted, whatever role he wanted. Paul George wants to be more on ball. Nope, doesn't like being picked up by Drew Holiday, 94 feet, back to off ball. Tough guy to please. You want Reggie Jackson, we'll get him. You want Russell Westbrook, we'll get him. You want John Wall, we'll get him. I mean, stabbed in the back? Are you kidding me? That guy Spencer said the OKC game, he went down. He did a 360 slam baseline. That was incredible. And the Western Conference Finals appearance. But really, the one player that deserves way more roses for the Western Conference appearance is Reggie Action Jackson. Completely agree with you. Reggie played like a damn all-star. An all-star. Especially when Kawhi went down. Reggie Jackson was incredible during that run, guys. Katsua Baller said culture is definitely better now than with PG. Yeah, I don't know if Adam Richard is Paul George on a burner account or what, but I don't think most people would agree with what he's been saying. Amir said the Clippers is a first-class organization. He undermined us with those comments. Deca Fantastic said PG just talks. He wants to be liked. He wants to be loved. He wants to have the ball, but doesn't ever want to hear any hate from his supporters. Boykin said, boo the hell out of him. Wall, please take A signs. A signs? What does that mean, Boykins? Axie said PG wasn't classy about it. Katsua Baller said, don't worry, guys, mellow ball coming eventually. They'd have to be able to trade for LaMelo Ball. Why would Charlotte do that? He's not going to be able to be a free agent anytime soon. So I don't think that's that likely. Boykins44 said, called us B team. Did he not know this growing up in Cali? That's what I'm saying. Like, how does he act like he's surprised when he said he was a Clippers fan growing up? And now he's acting surprised that, oh, wait a second, I didn't know they were the B team. You said you were a fan. If you were a fan, you knew the hierarchy of teams in LA, especially at that time with how the Clippers were treated. That was pre-Ballmer. Like, come on. Just never know what's true or not sometimes with some of the stuff he said. I've said this before. I've said it this summer with the B team comments and how unnecessary it was for him to hurt his own legacy as a Clipper on the way out. Sometimes with Paul George, it feels like he's talking out of both sides of his mouth while having his foot in it simultaneously. Not an easy thing to do. Yet, for whatever reason, there's been a lot of mixed messaging with him. I know Clipper Nation was frustrated by that over the years. King Charles said that on-ball, off-ball headache was so annoying. Axe C said he wants the same pay as Kawhi. He needs the same production as Kawhi. Look, some people would argue that second-tier guys or the second guy on a team still gets maxed out too. But I agreed with them not giving him the $200 million. He wanted more than Kawhi, first of all, because they offered him the $150 according to Paul George. Maybe he was too bitter to take it after he claims maybe they didn't offer the $150 immediately when they offered it to Kawhi. But at worst, they eventually got there, according to him. And then he said, okay, now we're in the ballpark. Wait a second. Record scratch. You said, just give me what Kawhi got. Now they're offering you that, and you're not taking it. Now you want $200 million. I think all along, Paul George knew he could try to use Philly as leverage because they were always going to offer the full max. We knew it at the trade deadline. Philly didn't make a move. They kept the max slot open to prepare for Paul George. I think he was always leaving unless the Clippers gave him $200 million, and that wasn't going to happen. I don't think it was about any bitterness that apparently the Clippers offered Kawhi $150 before him. Don't even know if that's true. They eventually offered him that, and he didn't take it. He always knew he had $200 million waiting for him in Philly. And if the Clippers weren't going to give him that, it wasn't going to happen. And I don't have a problem with that. The framing of it, I do, with the stuff he said, and then the way he left. That guy Spencer said, tongue twister pad kid poured curd, pulled cold. Oh, man, this is a tough one. I'll get to it maybe later in the episode. I don't know why that guy Spencer is so obsessed with the tongue twisters, but I do want to talk more about Paul George returning tomorrow. Boykins44 said, thank you for taking me away from the political thing. Evil Bot said, Paul, learn to love nor the money than everything else from guys. See, that's the stuff that's you're going too far. Mikey Lapp said, I love PG more than almost anyone, but his exit was bad, and I'm expecting him to get a negative reaction tomorrow, and Clippers need to pressure him all night. I think it's going to be 70% boos, at least. That's my stance. And it wouldn't have been if it wasn't for the comments he made. I get it. You have a podcast. You have to fill time. But when he made the B team comment, first of all, it's not like he's doing it by himself. He gets a play off of other people all the time. There were like 3 guys in the room. I think Carmelo Anthony was in that episode with the B team comment. I don't want to play it because of copyright stuff, and I don't want to get my channel flagged, but we've heard it a million times. So you got a podcast, you have to talk. He doesn't have to do a podcast, but he does. So he has to talk. There are times, believe me, where there's things you want to take back. And if you're doing it live like this, you're in trouble. That show wasn't live, he did. He could have edited. They edited in plenty of commercials and probably other things before. Could have got done with it and said, you know what? I took a shot at the Clippers. It was kind of a funny joke, but it's not worth it. It's not worth it. That's what he could have done. Instead, they left it in, and apparently there's bad blood. Katsua Baller said PG always flip all of a sudden. He went from a Padres to a Dodgers fan. God, there's that too. Oh, my goodness. I thought he was Team Padres. But then Dodgers get to the World Series. I mean, they're kind of rivals. And he jumps on the Dodgers. This is like LeBron jumping on when he was a Yankees fan growing up. Was wearing a hat with them taking on the Cleveland different team at that time. They got some too much Drake in them. Axie said his mind was already in Philly when he was playing for us. Some speculate on that. I don't necessarily believe that. I mean, he had game winners at the end of the season. He had big games against Denver, against Cleveland. Like, they had a bad playoff series, but Derek Jones Jr. can do that to you. We're finding that out now. Love him. Katsua Baller said PG never knows what he wants for everything. He's a Padres Dodgers fan, Clippers fan, but was a Kobe stan his whole life. Ever wants to do the dirty work or doesn't want to, the list goes on. It's amazing that originally when they traded for James Harden, he said, now we don't have to bring the ball up, so it saves our legs. And then at the end of the season, he goes, well, we lost Batum and Rocco, and therefore you got to do more of the dirty work. You know, I'm getting a stop, I'm getting the rebound, then I'm bringing the ball up the floor, and like I'm going to have to do everything. It's tiring. I mean, that stuff was... Ed Cadu said, I knew PG should be traded. How he is playing mid-season, especially against the Lakers, with how he was playing. I mean, he had a 20-point fourth quarter against the Lakers in that first meeting last season. That guy Spencer said, I'm wearing my PG jersey tomorrow's at the game. Supporters section, let's get it. Wall, let's get loud. Hey, that's cool too. Like, express yourself. It's mixed feelings for me. I'm not going to tell anybody else how they should feel. I'm just interested to hear from you guys on this subject. Like, I don't want to have to think of this negative stuff with Paul George, but unfortunately, he put it out there. I would like to just celebrate him, but unfortunately, he took shots, unnecessary ones. So I think it's going to be 70% booze because of the things he said on the way out. Link26 said, I respect PG for everything he did for the Clippers. He actually gave me hope, like we can actually get up there. Okay. Boykin said, does he not have an edit button on his pod? I'm sure they got plenty of producers on that one. Boykins 44 said his mouth will get him in time in Philly. We'll see. You guys want to hear from Paul George last night? Some say his mouth has already got him in trouble. So he took a 2-pointer at the end of the game when they were down by 2 instead of going for the 3. I guess he took responsibility. I'll let you guys hear from Paul George on this. This is his first game with Philly. Went 4 of 14. Ended up with, how many points did he have? 15 points. 4 of 14 shooting. 1 of 7 from 3. It's his first game back. I'm not holding the stat line against him. I'm not holding the missed shot against him. It goes in and out. But even he believed that was the wrong shot to take because he didn't realize what the score was. This is unbelievable.
I mean, that was, again, bad evaluation. I thought we were down 1. I thought when KD made the layup, that put them up 1. Otherwise, go for the 3 to try to win the game opposed to going for a 2 to tie the game. So after watching it, another bonehead play. Again, in that situation, why not go for the win? So, yeah, I mean, it was – but, I mean, I got the matchup. Kyle did a great job of putting a favorite matchup in that situation. I got a good look, rimmed in and out. live with that at the end of the day.
Yeah. Get ready, Philadelphia. Look, he called himself out, said it was bonehead play. I just don't understand how that happens. You know how many places there are in the arena to see to score? How do you forget about score? Time and score. That's pretty unreal. Art H said he calls the B team and talk ish on his way out. A boo is well deserved. I see that point of view. Deca Fantastic said, can't wait for Norm to show out tomorrow. He was the most outspoken. You're right. Norman Powell, I expect him to get 25 plus. Axe C said, I want to burn my PG jersey, but I'm too frugal. Punk's got wrong said the Clippers fans booing Palmdale P will be nothing compared to Philly fans booing him. He's only played one game for Philly and ended like that. Boykins44 said, he said I had another bonehead play. Yeah. Another one. That's the thing. Paul George's basketball IQ at times seems really low. It's strange at times. Other times it seems like the variance. It's like his turnovers. Like this guy can make some of the best passes, run things, and then he'll have the wildest turnovers. It's just, you don't know what you're getting sometimes, a lot of the time. Ghost said the way he left was shady, plain and simple. What do you mean shady? That guy Spencer said Philly news is probably cooking him. Also, guys are saying Maxey should have had the ball. Maxey's getting 30 per game so far. Now, they've gotten one win, and he's taken 25 shots to get to his 30. More on Maxey in the preview coming up. John McClain's back. Yippee-ki-yay, Adam, I'm back. PG got to be the biggest two-face I've ever seen in a while. Brother can't make up his mind. Indecisive. Seems like almost an identity crisis at times, who he wants to be as a player. You know, I appreciate the humility of accepting the fact that he realized after coming to the Clippers, I think at some point or right before it, that he can't be a number one on a championship team. But you say that, you say you want to be the number two, not even the 1A, when they brought you in to complement Kawhi and do the same stuff as Kawhi. And he did it sometimes, but not enough. Shocked Adam Richmond left. I wonder why. Boykins44 said Maxey had 30-something. Give him the ball. He had 32. He averages 30. He also has taken 25 shots per game. Jason Davis said, beyond the shots he took on the way out, I just didn't like his body language during games. I felt like he didn't have the outward emotion as a leader has that gets me fired up. I could see that. I mean, like Kawhi, he's quiet in his own ways too. Axie said, we need this game. They do, guys. Philly is not playing well. I know it's one game with Paul George so far, but they are very beatable. Deca Fantastic said, who's guarding PG tomorrow? Derek Jones Jr. Derek Jones Jr., baby. The guy who clamped him in the playoffs. Axie knows. DJJ is locking him up. John McClain said, all I can say to PG is good luck with Philly fans. Even his homeboy Russ got popcorn thrown at him when Russ was a wizard, LOL. Prayers up for PG. Some of you are sympathetic to Paul George and what he could be going through. I mean, this is year one, game one of a 4-year contract. Or at the end of it, he'll be 38, making over $60 million a year. I think they got a 2-year window to win it, Philly. Maybe 3 because Maxey's still young. Deca Fantastic said, man on Maxey and DJ on PG. Clips can lock down hard on D. I agree. I think that's going to be the matchup. Norm Powell said it. Addition by subtraction. I think he was really talking about it opening up an opportunity for guys like himself, and he's walked through that door of opportunity. He's averaging 25 a game while shooting 51% from the floor and 45% from three so far. Norman Powell. That guy Spencer said prediction for Brewster minutes. I don't know. what he's referring to? Oh, Amir Coffee, the brewmeister. I gotcha. He'll get his shots, I'm sure, against Paul George too, to guard him. Illustratenbaugh said, I think a tribute video is appropriate for PG. He took the money and ran. There's going to be a tribute video, as there should be. Deca Fantastic said the wall should chant math at PG because he wasn't able to count on that game winner in Phoenix. I'm wondering, when LeBron James returned for the first time to Cleveland after going to Miami, one of the best chants I've ever heard, one of the most cutting, cold-blooded chants was simple. It was, Scottie Pippen, Scottie Pippen, referring to basically the fact that LeBron James didn't want to be the number one guy. He didn't want to be MJ. He wanted to be Scottie. Now, obviously, that's not necessarily true. And he is well within the GOAT conversation for me. I think take your pick between him and MJ. But that was a cut and deep type of chant. I want to say the Heat won that game by 30. Robert said, tomorrow will be the last time I'm wearing my PG jersey to any game. Okay. I'm interested to see how many jerseys are out there. More support, more hate. I know it's not hate. It's sports hate. It's different. Not real hate. This is just guy left your team, scorn lover, jilted lover, and more importantly, he left them and then had some parting shots, some parting words. Not exactly gone with the wind. Quite frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. But parting words that didn't need to be said. He was trying to have fun and get a laugh out of the guys in the room at the Clippers' expense. I didn't like it. And I didn't like his dad and him agreeing with his dad saying, felt like they were stabbed in the back. Stabbed in the back. They did everything for Paul George. Evil Bot said the Brim Reaper. That's what we're talking about, Amir Coffee. Is that one of Brian Siemens' new nicknames for Amir? Illustratenbaugh said, when is KPG finally leaving the rotation? You realize Kevin Porter Jr. just helped them come back down 26 yesterday, right? He was in the 5-man lineup that went plus 19 in 9 minutes. I don't think he's leaving anytime soon. He had 7 assists, 8 boards. He's 17 for his last 40 from the field. As much as people are talking about he can't hit any shots, he's 17 for his last 40. That's 43%. That's not god-awful. He's been getting a little bit better. Is it enough? No. But I don't think he's going to be taken out of the rotation when that second unit with him next to Dunn, next to Amir Coffee, next to Batum, and then Big Zoo at center is doing work. I don't think they're taking him out of that lineup. Robert said, to be honest, don't miss PG at all. Ooh, the indifference is probably what would hurt the most. Don't even miss him, don't care. Because guys will say, oh, they're booing me. They hate me because they hate me, or they're booing me because they realize what they're missing. What if you just did nothing? Not a cheer, not a boo, and people just didn't acknowledge Paul George. Now that would be a statement. I don't think he deserves that. I'm just saying, like, to that guy's point, he doesn't miss him at all. I think a lot of people miss him. He was always nice. Little interaction I had with him. That guy Spencer said KPJ being only 24 is wild with all the expectations on him. JDog777 said Paul George said earlier on his podcast that he thinks he won't get booed because he's never heard Clipper fans boo anyone. That's a green light to boo harder. I mean, he's just asking for it. Why would you say that? Jason Davis said, love that we have our own dome, but hate that it took the Clippers so far away from my small corner in Los Feliz. It's worth it. It is worth the trek, guys. I know it is for some people, but I'm telling you, you will not regret bringing it into a dome. You will not. Especially tomorrow night. Axie said, "Where is Ingles? Because we should have him front row at the game." Ingles did lock him up in a couple games in that series for OKC versus the Jazz, but Paul got his revenge against Joe Ingles when he played for the Clippers in 2021 in the second round. Axie said, "We shouldn't give him a video." Yes, they should. It is absolutely the right and classy thing to do. They should give him a tribute video and a butt kicking. That's the way to go about it. Beat him. Beat him with your play. Not just because it's Paul George, because you need a victory, period. You need to win. Get back to 500, build from there. I think it's Sacramento after that, and Toronto. A couple of road games. So big game tomorrow for many different reasons, not just the return of Paul George for the first time. They need the win, flat out. Don't, just clamp Paul George, even though that will contribute to winning, but don't put all your focus into just stopping Paul George. There's other guys on this team too. And Kelly Oubre has been really good so far this season. I'll talk about it more in a little bit here. But Kelly Oubre, he's been very solid for the 76ers team. Do you guys want to see some of the Paul George game winners over the years in a Clippers uniform? Or is that too much of a tribute here? I don't know. How do you guys feel about it? I know Dime Dropper put together a Paul George mix of all his game winners as a Clipper. Do you guys want to see that? Or no? Blooper video, come on. That guy Spencer said, "To be honest, the classy way in me is clap, but move on. He made his decision. Now he has to live with it." If I was a fan, I think what I would do, if I was just a fan and not a broadcaster of the team, I think I would clap and then boo the first time he got the ball. Now he's the enemy. But no wrong way to go about it. I'm not going to tell anyone else how they should do it. Punk's Gone Wrong said, "When we win, we should chant B team." My point is, B team, Paul. I mean, you wanted to be the B player, the number 2 player, not the number 1, not the A. You guys don't want the Paul George game-winning mix? Okay. I get it. Yeah, big thirst, as they call him, versus Big Zoo will be fun. Still no Joel Embiid. He's suspended 3 games for reacting in a way I think most people would, but I get why the NBA still has to suspend him. Wonder if anything happens to the reporter. Okay, so as we wind down here, I got things to do. Let's get into a game preview for tomorrow. Clippers, Philadelphia 76ers. Clippers now 3-4, guys. They got to get back to 500. Just stay afloat, right around 500. That is the goal before hopefully Kawhi Leonard comes back. Meanwhile, Philadelphia is 1-5. Their lone victory came against the Pacers. They obviously just lost to Phoenix. Before that, they lost to the Grizzlies. Before that, they lost to Detroit. See, that's a bad loss. I don't know. Detroit's been beating some teams. Ask the Lakers. Before that was the win against the Pacers. Then they lost their first 2 games, the Raptors, and then game 1 against Milwaukee. They have not played good basketball whatsoever. So let's talk about some of their flaws here. EvoBot, just spicy. Show me all the turnovers tribute. Y'all out of pocket. John McClain said, "Zoo better eat Drum Dum's booty." Why would you say that? Okay. My guy John McClain, I don't know. This is timeout hard might be coming his way. Ross said make him 1-6. Jason Davis said T-Man is going to show up tomorrow. I think so too. I said on Clips and Dip, that's my player of the game prediction. I like this. I had to make this account. Said, I don't care about booing. I just want PG to get clamped up. That's one way to look at it. Win the damn game. That's basically what James Harden said when they asked him about, what do you think about Paul George coming back? It's like, I think we need to win. He's not going to get sidetracked with all the extracurricular and hoopla with Paul George, I don't think. They know they need to focus for a win. The comic Stan Los Angeles said, just getting off work. I don't mind the game winners. I appreciate that PG and Claw were representing Clipper Nation and always battling LeBron and Lakers. Clippers win most of those duels in LA. Oh, like 90% of them, bro. I'm not kidding. Look up the last 45 games between the two. Deca Fantastic said, predicting a big man game tomorrow. Renee Z said, just join the party. Welcome to the party, pal. Speaking of Die Hard. Just join the party. What did I miss? Just getting the pulse of the people when it comes to Paul George. Letting people express themselves. I mean, make your voices heard about Paul George on an election day. So, and going back to the preview here, the Clippers currently are 23rd offensively. Philly is 26th. Now, they've played one game with Paul George, none with Embiid so far. Clippers are 7th on defense. Philly is 21st. So they're bottom 10 offensively, defensively. Philly is shooting 33% from three, while teams are shooting 39% against them from distance. The Clippers now, after last game, they were shooting 33% from three, but after last night, hitting 51% of their threes. And Amir Coffey, along with Norman Powell, combining for 10 threes by themselves, they shot up 3% in the three-point shooting category on the season 7 games in. Now the Clippers are at 36% from three. And teams, after San Antonio was miserable from the outside last night, are only shooting 38% against them. Still not a great number, but it was at 40%. Philly is getting just 43 points in the paint. The Sixers have not been good in the paint. Clippers, they have been. Been about top 5 there so far. They're at 54 points in the paint per game. Clippers only given up 43 points in the paint. So their rim protection, their defense, Big Zoo, has been very good in that area. Philly, they're giving up 53 points in the paint. So the Clippers should be able to feast there tomorrow. I mean, most of the numbers for the Sixers are just not good right now. And that's what you'd expect from a team that's 1-5. Philly, though, is one area of concern. The Clippers are still at 16 turnovers per game, even after only having 10 last night. They cleaned things up. They only had 2 of those in the fourth quarter. Coming into that game last night, the Clippers were at 17.5 turnovers per game. They got it down to 16 after having only 10 turnovers against San Antonio. Philly, though, is generating the second most turnovers in the league. They're getting you to turn the ball over at 17.5 turnovers per game. That is something to watch. Also, the 76ers, they take better care of the basketball. They only turn it over 13.7 times per game. That's just outside being top 10 in that area. So the turnover game, with Philly taking better care of the basketball and getting a lot of steals and turning you over, could be key tomorrow. Punk's Gone Wrong said, I would love to see Dunn play point guard and give KPJ some spot-up threes. I mean, they do play together. John McClade said, I want a loud Derrick Jones Jr. blocking PG to get the crowd louding. Let's get louding, guys. Get noising. Sergio Sandoval said, you think Mann should come off the bench? If he continues to turn down shots like this, yes. If he continues to not even look at the rim, yes, I do. But it's not imperative. They aren't losing games because of Terrence Mann, I don't think. When he doesn't play well, he doesn't get many minutes. He played less minutes than Chris Dunn and Amir Coffey. Coach Lou will go with whoever has the hot hand. Mikey Lapp said Harden got to be motivated tomorrow going against 76ers, and PG definitely some bad blood. Yeah, it's also James Harden going up against Philly. Obviously, he's done that already in a Clippers uniform against the Sixers. But there's another guy. Nico Batum is going up against Philly after being traded there for a season. Played good ball. Back with the Clippers now. I don't know if he has any revenge on the mind. I don't think they did him dirty. Like, if anyone, I don't think Nico Batum, maybe, I don't know how he feels about Paul George, though. I mean, that could be something. So I expect good defense and him to knock down a couple of threes. Renee Z said, I'll give him his flowers, but come tip off, all hands on deck. Let's win Clips. I had to make this account, says, I do feel PG didn't read the room when he was negotiating. At the end of the day, he didn't value what the Clippers gave up for him or the catering they did for him. Yeah, maybe so. Act C said, Zoo needs to eat tomorrow. Act C said, feed the zoo. This double hat to show that, I'm not taking sides in today's election with the red and the blue. It's getting a little uncomfortable. I had to make this account, said, obviously the comments that he said when leaving was not the worst, but I was fine with him leaving when he said, quote, it's not about winning a championship, but play style, loser mentality. A lot of people think that play style part of it was a shot at James Harden and not liking his style of play, even though Paul George was thriving and put up some career efficiency numbers next to James Harden. I'll never understand that. Link to 6 said, I'm excited to see how the Clips are going to clamp PG tomorrow. KD had a hard time with Derek and Dunn, relentless defense, and PG ain't no clutch like KD. Ain't no clutch. As clutch. The comic Stan Los Angeles said Batum and Harden might have insight into Philly's game plan since they played for the same coach. Nick Nurse. Not a bad thought. Jolly Rose said, I'm looking at our team and wondering at the trade deadline, are we looking for a power forward or not? Oh, God. This is an immediate timeout. I can't take it. Guys, they haven't lost any games yet because of rebounding or defense. That whole power forward issue that we talked about all offseason has not been a problem for them so far. That is the least of their worries. I'm sorry. And again, it's just, Jolly, how many times you've been on here asking about it before. It's just, I want to focus on something else. It's just, that's not the issue. Renee Z said, PG always contradicts himself. Feels like that. Says one thing next day or next sentence says another. I don't get it. He seems very conflicted sometimes. It doesn't make a lot of sense. However, I still have some love for Paul George. I can't help but have some love for PG-13. The 2-1-3 era. It's already getting to that nostalgic point. It's weird. Kawhi's still here. Hasn't played yet this season. It's a different iteration. It's a different time. But I just remember how excited I was that night of the earthquake when it seemed inevitable the Clippers would win a championship or two. And part of the reason was because Paul George was coming off his best season, top 3 in MVP voting, top 3 in Defensive Player of the Year voting with the OKC Thunder. I was a big fan. I'm still a fan. But we'll see what he says moving forward. I'm sure maybe at some point he'll admit the B team comment was regrettable. Deca Fantastic said Philly's bench has been strong for them, but they aren't fast with Eric Gordon and Kyle Lowry. We need to run on them when Maxey sits. That's a good point. Kelly Oubre, by the way, is getting 17 points per game for this team. He's only shooting 40% and 30% from the outside. That's the thing with Maxey right now. He's getting 30 points, but it's not efficiently. He's putting up 25 shots a game. He's at 41% from the floor, 30% from three. Caleb Martin, he's only shooting, 18% from the outside, 32% from the floor. Kyle Lowry's been on the one on the heater. He's only getting 10 points per game, but he's shooting almost 60% from the field, and he is shooting 60% from three on 4 attempts per game. Kyle Lowry has been hot. Yabusele, who everyone wanted, I mean, he's getting 9 points per game. He's shooting 45% from the floor, 39% from three. Solid numbers. He's getting them. How many boards is he at? 4 boards, 3 assists, a steal, half a block. Andre Drummond, big thirst. He is averaging 8.5 points per game, 7 boards, 3 turnovers, while shooting just 45% from the field. Why is that? Your big man putting up numbers that low? Eric Gordon is at 43% from the field, 35% from the outside. He's getting them 8 points per game. I mean, they're a second apron team, so it was a nice pickup for them, but nothing to write home about either. Reggie Jackson, by the way, will be in the building. Forgot about this one. He's hardly played, though, so far this season with Philly. He's played in 2 games, 6 minutes. Has he been hurt? I hope not. Let me check out Philadelphia's injury report, which I know was pretty extensive recently. It is unfortunate. Clippers know about that life all too well, unfortunately. Where is Philadelphia? Here we go. So, yeah, it doesn't say Reggie Jackson's on there, so I don't think that's part of the problem. They got a Dembona. I forgot about that. KJ Martin's still there. He's been getting 17 minutes a game, 4 points per game, high flyer. We know about that. So it's just a team right now that, I don't know. There's not, I mean, when you are a second apron team, this is how it looks. When you're missing one of your guys or 2 of your guys, as they had been, it can be slim pickings. There's, a dearth of talent. They're not that deep. They just aren't. Sergio Sandoval said, "What is your honest opinion about the PG trade? Was it worth it? I know that was Leonard's request." Well, obviously, in hindsight, it wasn't worth it because they didn't win a championship and SGA looks this good. But I'm not judging things based off hindsight. That's easy to say. I judge it based off of what would everyone do in that position the Clippers were in. They would all make that trade. Every GM in the history of basketball would have made that trade. And the greatest GM in the history of basketball, and Jerry West, the late, great Jerry West, signed off on it. So it was good process. It just didn't work out. That happens sometimes. 90% of the time, that ends up with a championship. XC said, "Oh, yeah, the earthquake." Renee Z said, "PG was my first Clipper jersey ever. The baby blue, 2021-22. I like that jersey. I had to make this account saying, I know it's a hypothetical, but would have Shea and Kawhi won already instead of PG-13? Not if Kawhi tore his ACL. I don't think people realize Shea's development and him getting this good this fast probably does not happen with the Clippers. His first year with OKC, he gets next to CP3. He gets to learn from the point guard. And he gets all these minutes because the Thunder, not quite rebuilding, but a young team. Guys are progressing and developing. It was the perfect situation, like the accelerator to get him to where he's at now. I don't know if that happens with the Clippers. 3 Dozen said, "What up, Adam?" John McClade said, "I think all the other teams would have done that trade the Clippers did." You think? Maybe not give up that much assets for PG, but you still do the trade. Guys, Kawhi had just won Finals MVP. Everyone said he was the best player in the world, and he wanted to come to the Clippers. You think they're going to say no because we're not going to get Paul George for you? You think they're turning that down? There's no way. No team would have turned that move down. It's just pointless to even go there. Honestly, it's just complete hindsight. It was good process. It didn't work out. You know why I know it's good process? Because when you look back on that trade now and how rare a move like that comes along where a finals MVP is gettable, and then a guy who was top 3 in MVP voting the same year, and they're both in their prime and they're both attainable. You know how rare that is? You have to do that every time. The fact that in 2026 we're holding out hope to get SGA back or get Luka Doncic, and how far-fetched that seems right now tells you how obvious it was they had to make that move, because it rarely comes along. And when it does, you have to strike. They did. They happened to strike out because of injuries, stuff outside their control. You can't look back on it like they should have known Kawhi was going to tear his ACL in the playoffs or something. Come on. Even Paul George would turn out to be as injury prone as he's been. They had some injury concerns heading in. Yes, everyone still does that move. Kawhi just led the Raptors to a championship. No one is turning that down. Everyone said at the time, I remember distinctly, that SGA could be an all-star. Nobody said he's going to end up being an MVP someday. I think that day is coming this year. He's already been top 3. Ray said Reggie Jackson was his favorite guy from the 2-1-3 era. I like that. Evil Bot said, would you trade Man to the 76ers for KJ Gordon to match money and get the first-round pick back? I don't know. That's going to be a late first-round pick. Probably not. Axie said PG thought he was Kawhi's level with the chip and wanted more than him. It seemed like he didn't think he was Kawhi's level, that he knew Kawhi was the lead dog and he wanted to be second. Rock said, okay, what's the topic going on X that has been hilarious, huh? Axie said, we should get SGA back if possible. That is just a remarkable level of brilliance from Axie. We should get SGA back if possible. Great, man. Thanks for the comment. I think every team would do that move too. I don't think it's happening. I think he's going to win a championship in OKC sometime in the next couple of years and probably stays there. No, I don't think Ty Lue would have lost the 3-1 lead, because I don't think he would keep playing Montrezl Harrell against Nikola Jokic, because he would have looked at the numbers and saw that, oh, Jokic is shooting 75% from the floor against Montrezl Harrell and just under 50% against Ivica Zubac. I had to make this account. Said winning in the bubble would have made so many jokes towards the Clippers. That's the thing, guys. If they won in the bubble, the Lakers didn't get credit for winning in the bubble. And they already had, 16 championships at that time? And they still couldn't get credit. If the Clippers' only ring came in the bubble, you think they would get any credit or respect? No. They would have had to do it outside of it to back it up. Rock said, on the bright side, we should have a clean cap sheet in a few years when we hit free agency. Yeah, just not sure how many high-level guys are going to be there. Luka's in a good situation. SGA is in a good situation. Why would they leave? Could change. A lot can change in 2 years. Who knows what other guys become available? Maybe a disgruntled star somewhere else. All right, guys. It's been over an hour. I got to unwind and get ready for tomorrow. Paul George back for the first time into a dome, but back in Southern California, taking on the Clippers in a Philadelphia 76ers uniform. Doodlebug said, I really hope fans show respect and don't boo PG during his tribute video and then let the wall loose on him during the game. That's one approach, but every fan, it's their right to cheer, boo. They bought a ticket. Let the fans fan. That's my position. That's my stance. Very bipartisan. I'm Adam Moslem. Be good to one another. Appreciate you all. It was fun chatting tonight. I'll be back tomorrow. at Intuit Dome. 6 o'clock pregame. Game tips off at 7. Pregame show right here at Clippers Talk on the YouTube side. Until tomorrow, this has been another edition of Clippers Talk. A Paul George special. Again, be good to each other. Love y'all.